All right, welcome back to TWD Symbolism Analysis. I'm here to be answering more of your TD questions, but I don't know if I'll get to any of those today because I decided I wanted to talk about and point out the Daryl and Carol Are Friends campaign that's going on with AMC right now. It's something they've been doing over the last week, and it's really, really interesting. So if you get a chance and you want to look it up, go to one of the official AMC accounts like AMC The Walking Dead on Instagram. That's the one I'm looking at. And usually they post the same things other places as well, like Facebook and X, but I haven't actually checked any of those to make sure they're exactly the same. So the one I know about for sure is on Instagram. A few days ago, let's see, when was it? 4 days ago, as I record this, they posted a picture of, honestly, what looked like two little ropes to me, but it says, tag the person you'd give your friendship bracelet to. So in this case, they're just drawing attention to Daryl and Carol and the fact that, you know, they had the friendship bracelet thing back in season, what was that, like 10 or 11 when they were talking about leaving together, which is interesting. Now, on the surface, really, they're just promoting season 2 of Daryl Dixon because obviously that's going to be the Book of Carol and everything, but they are highlighting the friendship, which is, I think, really important. If you look into the comments, things get really interesting. Lots of different types of comments, of course. Some of them are pro-Carol. Some of them have nothing to do with anything. They're just comments on The Walking Dead. But overall, they're not terribly pro-Carol. There's a lot of people who just say they like Daryl and Carol together and, you know, they have a nice friendship and all of that. So we actually kind of liked that post because we feel like they're really emphasizing that Daryl and Carol are friends and that there's nothing romantic there. Well, then after that, 2 days ago, they put another post on, and it's kind of a clip from the famous scene from season 2 where Daryl gives Carol the Cherokee Rose. And the caption says, relive the moment this beautiful friendship bloomed. And then they hashtagged it Carol, C-A-R-Y-L. Now, this is super interesting because, number one, there is really no clearer way that the show could say that this is a friendship, not anything more. And, you know, the people who think that Daryl and Carol ought to be together romantically, they often cite the scene when he gives her the Cherokee Rose as the beginning of the romance. So AMC is really going out of its way to make sure that the fans know that they are not seeing this as a romantic relationship. It's really interesting, actually, that they tag it Carol. They're like actively trying to change that tag so that it means Daryl and Carol together as a duo and not Daryl and Carol together romantically. The other thing is that in the comments, there's a lot of people who are bashing the Carolers. I have to say, I mean, they're going on and on about how this is a friendship, nothing more, and, you know, kind of like cue the hatred to begin for the people who are angry that they're calling it a friendship. And so it's just obvious that there's a lot of people who are really, really irritated with that ship and are really on board with the fact that AMC is trying hard to bring this across as a friendship rather than a romantic relationship. So yeah, I would encourage you to go read the comments there. It's pretty interesting, and it's maybe a little bit eye-opening for anybody who feels like the Carolers are very loud online, and, you know, the people who are always asking me, am I afraid that AMC is going to cave to the pressure? No, this is proof that they aren't. They're going out of their way to make sure people know this is a friendship, not a romantic relationship. I think this is their way of being sort of preemptive in staving off the Carolers, and, you know, and not that I really think it's going to work. The hardcore shippers are going to continue to troll and be angry and, you know, do what they've always done, but this is AMC very firmly establishing their belief about Daryl and Carol and where they're going with it in the story. Okay, so that's a good thing. But I want to take it a little bit further and say that while maybe this in and of itself doesn't prove anything about Beth, you got to ask why they would start doing this now. I mean, like I said, part of it is that it's just preemptive, trying to kind of do preemptive damage control because they know the carolers are going to freak out about this. And so they're trying to, manage expectations, I guess you could say, early on. But I think it's more than that, too, because for 11 years of the flagship show, they didn't do this. They, had Daryl and Carol in the show. They had them doing lots of scenes together. And even when they would have a really big Daryl and Carol episode, they still didn't do this, right? So it feels like there's a purpose for them doing it now. And I mean, put it together with what we saw in Daryl Dixon season 1, which was that there was a big emphasis on Daryl looking for love and being lonely and being asked if he had a wife and all of that, right? So it's very clear that they're establishing that his romantic arc is coming, and now they're deciding to make sure we understand that Carol is just his good friend. So there's that. But it also just, I think, proves that the romantic arc is coming, and I think that's why they are trying to establish this. So it's kind of their way of saying, yes, his romance is on the horizon, but no, it is not going to be Carol. Like, I feel like that's the whole point of these posts that they've been doing. So I've taken to calling it a campaign for them, like they're running it as a campaign to bring awareness to this particular aspect of the show and make sure people understand that in the show they are just friends, and that is what their relationship will always be when it comes to, what is actually canon in the show. So I just wanted to point that out, and it's kind of fun to watch. I hope they do some more posts like this that we can look at and analyze a little bit. All right, well, that didn't take as long to talk about as I thought, so let's move on to a couple of questions here. Here's the first one. I'm glad that the Spoiling Dead fans are gone and no longer in operation. I am being anonymous because of NDA reasons, but I was nearly fired from my job because of them. Wow. I would be interested in hearing more about that if you could tell us anything without getting yourself into trouble, just being vague. The Spoiling Dead fans, I don't know. I didn't really have an opinion about them one way or the other. I know that there was a lot of people in our fandom that didn't like them because they were definitely not pro-Beth. I think they might have been pro-Carol, but even if they weren't, it was like they just didn't like Beth's character, and they kind of were snarky and mean about her and called her names and things like that. So, I get that. But they did have good spoilers, and I did kind of start looking forward to reading what they put out every week. I actually wonder about what happened there, like why they shut down. Most people believe that they were being fed the spoilers by like the writers, the Walking Dead writers. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, the reason is most people couldn't figure out how they were getting those spoilers otherwise, because they always had really accurate spoilers. But it's also possible they were getting them from one of the screeners, and AMC just couldn't figure out which one. I don't know. They had the incident where with Carl's death, Chandler actually asked them not to spoil it, and they agreed not to. And it was just because it was him, and they liked him, and they respected him, and he went out of his way to ask them not to. And that makes it seem like maybe the spoilers weren't coming from AMC, but I don't know. And then they just all of a sudden shut down, and the reasons they gave for it were pretty vague. So I just wonder, not that it makes a big difference one way or the other, but I'm just curious about what actually happened there. Anyway. But it does seem like they might have been just a little bit on the toxic side of things. So, and, maybe that has to do with why you were nearly fired from your job. But if you could tell us anything more about that, I would be interested to hear it. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about them. It's been a while since they've been in operation, and there are other people getting spoilers, but no one has ever been quite as spot on accurate as they were. Although they did have some things that interpretively were not quite correct. I remember them having a few things, but that's exactly why we were thinking the spoilers were coming from screeners, is because people were interpreting it and giving it to them, and sometimes the interpretations were a little bit off, but the events that they spoiled were always spot on. Anyway, if you're willing to tell us more about that, then please do, but otherwise, thanks for sending that in. Can you tell us in what ways being TD has positively impacted your personal and professional life? Oh, all sorts of ways, because it's been a big part of my life for a long time now. For one thing, it's kept me company in times when I was in a dark place or was kind of lonely or, whatever the case may be. And so it's been really helpful to me in that respect, just giving me something to focus on and to kind of occupy my time. For a long time, I was doing what was basically an in-home daycare for my job, but then I got to the point where I was only doing it for some family members, like I was watching my nieces and nephews. And while I absolutely loved watching my nieces and nephews, it was also kind of difficult because they were very long hours and I was not getting paid very much. And so there were long hours when I was with the kids, but I was also kind of bored. And because I didn't have much money, I didn't have a whole lot to work with to take them places. We would go to the park and things that didn't cost money. But this was a way just to kind of fill my day and keep my mind active, in the times when I got really bored. So I love that. But it's of course been a lot more than that too. I've made some really, really good friends in TD that I talk to still every single day on the internet. Some of them I've never met in real life, but we still talk almost every single day. And then from a professional perspective, the main thing is I am a writer. I do my own fiction, and honestly, analyzing all of the arcs and the symbolism and the long game storytelling that Gimple does, it's made me a better writer. It's made me a better analyzer of story. And I actually teach storytelling now and writing now. So yeah, it's had all kinds of impact on me. And I remember when I was first considering starting a TD account. So, I've told the story before, but I didn't do it during season 5. I didn't do it right after Coda. I, like most people in our fandom, was super depressed after Coda and I refused to get online and look at anything Walking Dead related it was about 2 weeks. And then finally, because I felt so icky about it, And then I finally decided that I needed to get over it and get online and look at some stuff. And almost immediately I found TD. I don't even remember exactly what the post was or what the day was or anything, but it was almost instantly I found it. And I started reading some TD theories and I started going, oh, there's something to this. But I did want to look into it and make sure that it wasn't just, pie in the sky, wishful thinking. But once I started going through it, I was like, no, they're right. There's something weird going on here, So for the whole back half of season 5, I was just basically reading theories and I was kind of a lurker. But I was, I've got a whole story maybe for another time about how it was really 5:10 with the music box waking up that 100% got me on board. I was still a little bit iffy with 509, especially because she shows up in Tyrese's death hallucination and people saw that as a confirmation of her death. But when the music box woke up, I was 100% sold. But back then, there was a lot of people who were absolutely sure that she was coming back right away, like in the back half of season 5. And when she didn't, I saw a lot of people going, okay, well, that's it. We hope she'd come back, but I guess she's not. And I was going, no, that they don't understand. It's still true. It just hasn't happened yet. It'll be next season or something, So that's when I decided to start my account, was the summer between season 5 and 6. And anyway, the reason I started telling that story, I'm kind of rambling now, was that I had to think long and hard about whether this was something that I wanted to do, because I knew that creating content for it was going to take time, and that there would also be a lot of trolls involved, and so we were probably going to get some hate and all that kind of thing. And I had to decide if this was something that was going to be worth my time and worth doing. And I just always had a really good feeling about it. It was something that I should do and something that definitely was worth my time and was worth whatever work I put into it. And, I've always said that whether she comes back or not, and no, please don't take that to mean that I doubt she's coming back. I 100% believe she is. But even if we turned out to be wrong at some point, I still wouldn't regret any of my time working on TD stuff because of all the good impacts it's had on my life, professionally and in terms of friendships and the way that it's kept me company. The story is wonderful and the characters are so fun and I will always love them. So when I've had people ask me that over the years, yeah, but with all the work you do and all the theories you've done, what if you end up being wrong? Wouldn't that just be a waste? And the answer is no. First of all, I still don't think I'm wrong. I still think we're going to see her probably pretty soon at this point in the Daryl Dixon spinoffs. But even if we turned out to be 100% wrong, I still would not consider that a waste. And anything that you put your time and energy into and get any kind of positive return, especially something that you feel good about, there's no such thing as that being a waste. It's, even if it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to or something, that doesn't mean that it didn't have some, good outcomes for you and didn't do some good things for you. So, anyway, thank you for the question and for letting me ramble on it for a minute. I don't get asked that very often, but I've really, really enjoyed being part of TD, and I hope to be able to be part of it for many years to come. So thank you for that. All right, we are going to stop there for today. I will probably get a couple more videos out later in the week, but everyone have a wonderful day. And again, I encourage you to follow this Daryl and Carol Are Just Friends campaign because it's kind of fun to watch it unfold. Okay, talk to you soon.